The last 2 years have been filled with self-isolation and enforced lockdowns for all, and most of us have missed the little pleasures in life, such as being outside. But not gamers. No, the gamers among us have been experiencing vast open landscapes and escaping the horrors of reality for years, and you could learn a thing or two from them. With that in mind, I'm Billy, this is Love, Death and Video Games, and here are the top 5 video games to play during a global pandemic. Number 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. Kicking off this list with one of the best open world RPGs of recent times, but the reason it's at number 5 is because it took me over a year and multiple restarts to actually get into it. If you persist with the slow pacing at the start, you're rewarded with a fantastically written story and some of the most beautiful settings and music in modern gaming. With a map that covers roughly 29 in-game miles, or 46.6 kilometers if you want to get European about this, you can spend hours riding around, be it on a horse or by train that you may or may not decide to rob. And with random world events that pop up, it never gets boring going on vast explorations. Whether you decide to play through the story of the titular Arthur Morgan or hog-tie random passers-by and leave them on the train tracks, well, that says more about you than it says about me. Number 4, Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. Not being able to leave the house to go to the gym or exercise wasn't great for us during lockdown. Not using up all that energy isn't fun. So why not live vicariously through Peter Parker and Miles Morales as you swing your way through the streets of the Big Apple? The perfect blend of web slinging, arse kicking and quips so sharp they take your eye out, Insomniac Games have created a comic book masterpiece in both games. And the characters are more than just your standard comic book tropes, they have human sides to them as well, meaning you can actually connect with the likes of Rhino, Otto Octavius and the Tinkerer. I used to say that Marvel had the better films, but DC always had the better TV shows and video games, particularly the Batman Arkham series, but that's no longer the case. Spider-Man and Miles Morales have changed opinions worldwide on what's possible from superhero games, so get your fix of being in the city by web slinging your way through NYC as J. Jonah Jameson's favourite, Masked Menace. Number 3, Pokemon, various generations. We've all dreamt about having a real Pokemon, right? It's not just me. Now, I haven't put one specific generation at this spot because each generation has their good and bad points, and with the introduction of emulators in recent years, you can beat Red or Blue 1 minute and go straight to Diamond or Ruby with a few clicks. The reason Pokemon has made this list is the sheer number of hours you can invest in each generation, whether you play for just the story or whether you turn your cap backwards and catch them all. From starting out as just another youngster starting their Pokemon journey to becoming the champion of the Pokemon League, at a time where any sense of actual achievement was limited, becoming the number 1 trainer felt really good. And having to walk from one end of the region and back again to fill the Pokédex, that counts towards our daily steps goal as well, right? Number 2, The Last of Us Part 2. Now, you may be thinking that a game set in a post-pandemic world is an odd choice for escapism during COVID times, but what better way is there to take out your frustration with what's going on in the world than taking down infected in increasingly violent ways, from a simple stabbing to burning them with Molotovs? Not to mention a story so deep it should come with its own drowning hazard warning. Whilst the first game is fantastic, following Joel's journey to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies and witnessing his decision to keep her alive, in part 2 you take control of a grown Ellie, fantastically played by Ashley Johnson. You'll be sucked in and lost in Ellie's quest to avenge the death of her father figure and protagonist of the first game, Joel, and then have everything you've ever known thrown into doubt when you have to play through the story from Abby's perspective. You can and will sink hours into this game and for a while, not care about the goings-on in the real world. Number 1, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love this game more than the oxygen I breathe, and even though it was released in 2015, The Witcher remains one of, if not the best RPG available on current generation consoles. With both DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood of Wine, there's nearly 145 hours of gameplay to lose yourself in, and believe me, you will. And with multiple endings for all 3 depending on player choice, the replay value is there for all to see. With a vast spectrum of gameplay to lose yourself in, from hunting down Bruxa and Leshen to playing a bearded dwarven woman in Gwent for hours, I'm looking at you, Gwendolyn, there's a fantastic array of things to lose yourself in. It's not just action, the settings and landscapes are breathtaking, from grabbing an ale in a tavern without having to wear a mask, to being able to bask in the beauty of Beauclair. It's both exhilarating to play and beautiful to experience. There's also no better time to revisit or experience The Witcher 3 for the first time, with the second season of the Netflix show coming out just before Christmas 2021. And if the game doesn't make you want to dive headfirst into the depth of lore that's out there, nothing else will. So there you go, they are my picks for the best games to play in lockdown. What video games have gotten you through the last 2 years? Let me know in the comments.